Hello and welcome back to KSP POV, where we play Kerbal Space Program in first person. In the last episode, we managed to get a space camp up that was supposed to rendezvous with our space station, but we were not able to do that because a part failed, and so now they're just kind of stranded. And we're going to have to address that before it's too late. But today we are going to continue on building on that space station. We have two identical launches that we need to put up there to add solar panels and communication dishes and all sorts of things that we're going to need for the mission going forward. So we're going to start with the first arm, and that's what today's episode is going to be all about. So let's go ahead and get started. So we warp to daytime just so that way when we launch it'll be a little bit easier to see. And then without needing to spend any of the massive amounts of science we have, we're just going to go ahead into the VAB and start building. So we're going to start with the Alcor pod because it has some auto rendezvousing and auto docking maneuvers that we're going to take advantage of. And so here we are, we're just building out the arm. We had a module set up before, but it didn't save for some reason. So here we are, we're putting some communication dishes on struts. And if you notice there, I clipped the parts into the structural beam, so that way it would sit a little bit better. And then I adjust the solar panels. And now it's time to start working on the capsule. It is the Alcor pod, so it doesn't like coming into the atmosphere very well. Reheating effects do quite a number on this craft, so we have an extra wide heat shield to handle it. We have over a year's worth of life support there, so just in case the Kerbal gets stranded out in space, they should be able to survive long enough for us to get a rescue mission out. So here I am just putting on the solar panels and the parachutes and the drogue chutes. We stack a cryogenic extra large tank or a medium tank, and we get some monopropellant in there as well. And now we're going to just add some RCS thrusters on there, trying to balance it out as best as possible. And we throw some lights on there just to have for visuals later. And then we're gonna just throw it all into a nice big fairing. So now it's time to build the lifting vehicle, which is going to be basically the same as they all have been lately. I play around with trying to get some parachutes on it, but eventually give up and just go for extra fuel. And then I strut the two engines, and I put launch clamps, and then I put some fins on there. I do have to hire an engineer because all of our engineers are already up on the space station. But I want to bring an engineer with us in order to fix any parts that may need fixing. So I went ahead right there and stuck a container of spare parts on there. We also have our TAC explosives right there. We're setting the time. We have our separatrons to move the lower stage away from us. Pretty similar to how a lot of our rockets have been lately. We are going to be eventually coming into a place where we're going to need to have larger vehicles. I throw some atmospheric experiments on there and completely forget to use them, so just a big old waste of money. But here we are once again back in the Alcor pod. We're just going to take a quick second. We're going to set up everything, and then we will launch using MechJeb's auto ascent. This whole mission is going to be mostly automated, just for the sake of precision. We are going to use the auto rendezvous options, as well as the auto docking options. That should take care of everything for us. So here we are. We're activating our ascent guidance, and then when we are ready, we go ahead and flip the stage button, and we will take off. As you see here, the camera is having a little bit of an issue. It does this bug every now and then where it's not quite attached. It pretends that it's not attached, and it just starts heading down the length of the rocket. It's kind of fun. It's annoying at times, but when it doesn't matter that much, like right now, it's pretty fun. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit into the coasting up through the atmosphere. And now our throttle is disengaging because our apoapsis has reached 150 kilometers, which is the altitude of the space station. And once we coast up a little bit higher, closer to our apoapsis, Mer-Ka-Ba takes over again and auto fires. It's going to handle our circularization burn for us. And with plenty of fuel in our stage and plenty of thrust to weight ratio from our Pila, we get to orbit with no problem. And there we are. Perfectly settled. So now I'm just going to kill Mer-Ka-Ba. And we are going to auto rendezvous. And we're going to let the computer take over. We're going to allow the RCS to be turned on ever so slightly just to get ourselves moving in the right position, in the right direction, excuse me. And as you can see from our nav ball, it's slowly tipping over. This is still a fairly long craft at the moment, especially since we still have our lower engine, and our lower engine doesn't have any RCS on it. So we're thinking it's taken a lot to tip over, so we are probably going to just stage the lower booster, even though there's quite a bit of fuel left in it, but it's just not doing us any favors at the moment. And due to the nature of the auto rendezvous function, it's going to be making small micro burns here and there just to adjust things ever so slightly. As you see, we had less than a second burn there. And now we have to flip towards the next maneuver because it will just plot maneuver after maneuver. And now the ship is slowly easing its way over, which is telling us that we're going to need to figure out something else to do for the next launch, either more RCS or less fuel in the lower stage so we can just jettison it earlier. So the Mer-Ka-Ba is automatically time warping to the next maneuver. And we just keep messing with our maneuvers, just trying to figure out the best way to do it. So we go ahead and reset our auto rendezvous, retarget, and that puts the next maneuver in our queue. And like I said before, we decide to stage off our lower lifter stage, the lower engine, and our tack explosives goes ahead and takes care of that, so we don't have to leave any debris from this launch anyways. So now that we're much shorter, we can move around with a lot greater of ease. So now we are letting MechJeb take care of our maneuvers, and we are going to be making micro adjustments back and forth until it takes us close enough that we can start to dock. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up this footage a bit. I'm not really going to edit it, I just kind of want to show you how it just goes back and forth, making minor adjustments like I keep mentioning. Just kind of show you visually what that process is. Because it'll make its burn, and then it will turn itself to the next maneuver point, and then it automatically time warps until it's ready to make its burn. So as you saw there, we went around the planet several times. And then it makes its burn, and then once again it just points itself in the direction that it needs to be for its next maneuver, which is typically flopping back and forth between prograde and retrograde, but here we are. And then as you see in the right corner, it time warps once again. And it just, we're gonna keep doing that over and over until we line ourselves up with the craft. I go ahead and bring up the docking port camera because I believe we are now close enough that we can start making our maneuvers. So now, as you can see from the screen, we are killing our approach speed, and our closest approach is very close. And yeah, we are basically ready to start docking. We're just going to go ahead and let MechJeb finishes its maneuver. And then we're going to just take a quick look around and see. Oh, yep, there we are. Perfect. I really like the automated features of auto ascent, auto docking, and auto rendezvous from the Alcor pod. So we need to go to this docking port over here. So we're going to go ahead and control it from that point. And we were going to point it towards the craft, but there's really no need. It's not too far off, and trying to adjust the whole space station all at once is not really going to be worth it. So I come in here to the control center of the space station, make sure that the docking port of the solar communications arm is selected. And here we go. So now all we need to do is press that button right there for auto docking, and then let MechJeb handle the rest. So as you can see, our approach speed never reaches above 1 meter per second. So it took us quite a long time doing this maneuver. I mean, I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have hands on the keys or anything, but I did have to sit in real time to make sure that everything handled correctly. So therefore, I'm just going to speed up the footage for you. This is much faster than I had to deal with. As you can see here, using our RCS, it just perfectly lines ourselves up with the docking port. And little puffs bring us into it. And before we know it, we have made connection. And there we have it. We have successfully docked to the space station. It now has communications and much more powerful solar panels, and everything we need. There is one problem, however, and that is the Kraken has spotted us, and because of that clipping that we did for the communication dishes, it starts to rip the craft apart. As you can see here, it is freaking out with the physics, and it does explode the arm completely. We're not too happy with that, as you can see. We go ahead and we reload because that was a Kraken attack and not a failure on our part, and then we decide to decouple it instead of using the staging sequence, and that also fails. We go online, we ask a bunch of people who are smarter than us about this, and we go through and do their suggestions, but no matter what we do, this arm is going to rip itself to pieces and break. So this was a bit of a failure, and it's actually going to be one of several that are going to be coming soon, but that is just the struggle of Kerbal Space Program, and sometimes you have to deal with the Kraken. But yeah, that's happened because I clipped those parts in there, and that shouldn't have done that. But anyways, that's where I'm going to leave today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider giving me a like, drop me a comment, let me know your thoughts, and I will see y'all in the next one. Take care.